start crying right away. Okay, perfect. Yes, TJZ is actually, it's not TJs. I have 3 beautiful boys, and today I'm going to talk to you about one of them. And today I'm very privileged to be able to tell you what's up with Elmo. I'm sure you've heard that question asked. I've been asked 1,000 times. Some of you loop me in those conversations because some of you beautiful people still have that Elmo on your avatar, and I can't thank you enough. So my story begins with my son and the beginning, and when he was born, my life changed forever. Zack was born with a congenital heart defect, and from the moment he was born with his twin, we knew life had changed for us and changed for our whole family and changed for him and would be difficult. They rushed him down to sick kids that first night and we almost lost him. But my boy was a fighter, and he taught us from that moment that miracles happen. He taught us that he had more living to live in this life, and he lived with us for another 3.5 years. And that was the first gift that he gave to our family. As Zack grew older, we became aware that he had a hearing loss, he had tons of feeding issues, he had a global delay, he had physical difficulties. Life was not easy for him, and so my role became his advocate, his fighter, his cheerleader, and I loved that. He changed me as a mother and as a woman, and that was my life, and I was very proud to have that life. The wonderful thing about Twitter and social media was that I could meet moms that had a life like mine. I didn't have friends who had kids with special needs. I didn't have anyone else. They all had perfectly beautiful, healthy children. And when I said I couldn't go to play groups because he was too vulnerable, when I said that I couldn't go to certain birthday parties because he would just get too sick, you know, or that I couldn't go out for coffee, I had to take him to physio. They didn't understand that, my friends, my group of friends. So when I reached out online, I found moms that had kids just like mine and lives just like mine. And it was an amazing, comforting feeling. The night I started my blog was after a doctor's appointment with our neurosurgeon who had just found something else to worry about in Zack's brain. And he said, your son's connection from his neck to his spine is so fragile that if he were to have a fall, his head would fall off and he would be a quadriplegic. I not only started to have a lot of glasses of wine that day, but drinking started a lot earlier that day. But I started my blog, and I started to find a way to talk about things I couldn't say to my husband, I couldn't say to my other boys, I couldn't say to my friends who knew me the best. I found a way to get all of my emotions out. And some of my girlfriends would call and say, I just read your blog post, I didn't know that happened, or I didn't know you felt that way. And now they know, and it still is a beautiful, cathartic way to talk about my life in a way that I find hard to say. Twitter started to be a place where I could talk about Zack, and I loved it. I first started social media with PTPA as a business, and it was something very new to me. But during the hospital visits, I found a personal way that I could reach out on Twitter. I would say, we're back in the hospital again, he's got pneumonia again, and someone the next morning would say, how's Zack doing? Like, really? These people, I don't even know them. And they're asking how my son's doing. So I would tell them the downs, you know, the bad days we had, and the amazing days like last November when Zack took his first steps. My family was there, so I had no one else to call. But what I did was take a picture and tweet it to say, look what happened. You guys have been through the hospitals with me. You guys have been through those horrible days. Now look what my son's doing. He's walking for the first time. And I didn't know that that was ever going to happen. Then came last March, and we were back in the hospital at Sick Kids. And I thought it was just like any other time, but it wasn't. As Zack started declining and stopped watching his Elmo, I knew this was something very different, and they took him down to be intubated. His heart stopped in the operating room. And after 40 minutes of trying to save my son's life, they put him on a lung and heart machine. He fought again and surprised the doctors again, and we had 3 more days with him. But his brain couldn't handle that kind of lack of oxygen. But he was with us in our arms and died in our arms, and we got to say our goodbyes. The night before Zack died, I needed a break. I had been there day and night in his room, sleeping in a chair, just holding my son. And I went on Twitter for my escape, my usual escape. And I saw Elmo in the corner of these pictures. And it took me less than a second to know that that was for me. And that was for Zack. And that everyone was rooting for him and rooting for us as a family. And they had followed his journey with me and helped me get through some really difficult days. And that day was amazing. And I can't ever thank you enough. Most of you, I don't know, but some of you I do. And you put that Elmo on your avatar in a show of support, and I can't even begin to describe how that moment felt. At the worst time of my life, I was lifted by all of you. Out of this horrible, horrible nightmare came something so beautiful. The nurses at our local hospital said, we want to do something for Zack. We love him. We've been following him. He was so special to us. We know he loved Elmo. He sung the Elmo song. He hummed it to us when he wanted to go to sleep. In the hospital when he was sick, I would hold him and hum, na 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 na, and he would love it, and he would just calm down immediately. Everywhere we went, Elmo came with us, and it became a comfort to him, and everyone knew that that was his special thing, so of course we had to do an Elmo room for him. So they said, we want to do this, it's $25,000, and I said, okay, what if we don't do Elmo? What if we don't put his name on the plaque? Like, that's cool. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? My son literally had died last week. But I got out of bed, and I started to raise money. And I lived with Zack with me every single day. I got to talk about him. I got to tell people his story. I got to write about it. I had local newspapers talking about it, about, you know, my amazing little boy who has touched so many people and inspired me, and now I know inspired some other people too, which is beautiful, and a mother's best pride. So where did I go? I went to Twitter to say, help, how do I raise this money? And women were saying, you know, I have a small business. Let me make a stuffed animal for your Zachy. Let me make a water bottle and we'll raise money. Let me do some photography sessions and give you 10%. You know, they've given me prizes. I have toys in my basement for when the room opens. I have people ready to paint murals. This is all from total strangers on Twitter. Total strangers who are my dearest friends. I had 4 beautiful women do a Twitter party and an online auction. And one weekend in April, we raised over $4,500 just from Twitter and from my connections on Twitter and my friends. That was pretty amazing, and I'm still honored for that. One night I was at a wedding, and I start seeing all these messages to me, and they said, TJ said, Mummy, you have to go talk to Being Elmo Film. And you have to go see the film. Kevin Clash, who is the puppeteer, is in town. He's got to know about Zack. He's got to know about you. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? This is the day before Mother's Day. And I get online. CBC News wanted to interview me on Mother's Day. And all during that week, I had prayed to Zack to say, give me a sign for Mother's Day, because this is going to be one crappy day for me. Do something big. And I had asked him to turn on the TV. Because what he liked to do was run back and forth and turn on the TVs. And instead, he put me on TV. And I got to talk about him on TV. And I got to have Elmo. And now Kevin Clash. I have not met, but he knows that Zack was his biggest fan. They talked to me at Sesame Workshop. They called me and said, Kevin wants to do something. He's asked me to reach out to you. It has blown my mind. Sesame Place has had a special meet and greet. I got to meet Elmo and we took pictures with Zack's picture there. I have been fulfilling all of Zack's dreams and wishes with the help of all of you and with the help of Twitter and my amazing friends who have made these connections happen for me. My beautiful boys at home still miss their brother a lot, and we still miss him a lot. But in everything we do, he's still very much with us. And when I still see those Elmos on all of the little Twitter avatars, it still keeps him very much alive for me, and I can't ever, ever repay that to all of you who lifted me up when I needed to be lifted. And I know when we keep fundraising, you're going to be there for me again. So I'm happy to say we raised $41,000. And lemonade. So So not only do we have a beautiful Elmo room, but I want to do something more in the pediatric unit. We've bought 3 new cribs, state-of-the-art cribs, so that the kids will be comfortable. We have toys. We have murals painted on all the walls now, because not just one of the rooms should be beautiful. They should all be beautiful for those kids. And I want to thank you so much for letting me tell you my story and tell you what's up with Elmo, because that's for my beautiful son, Zack.